I no, but that's what I'm saying. You have to get them all up here and shit. They're I get what you're saying, and I here they're on lockdown. Oh yeah, the National Guard.
Yeah, we don't really have a license concept.
You know where it came from? The virus.
It's a work in progress.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
we're on brand.
I didn't even let me know that was the name, damn. You the worst, man.
I mean, but we're the forefront of it. We're like the faces of that.
We're the worst guys. Welcome back to this trash podcast. It's been quite some time. Probably like a couple months since we actually sat down and recorded this. If you could, thanks for finding the channel. If you could just drop a like, subscribe if you want to subscribe, like it if you like it. You can find us all over social media. You can find us on Instagram, This Trash Podcast, Twitter, This Trash Podcast. You can find us on SoundCloud, but ain't nothing there. It's just one video that's very old at this point and pretty dated.
Yeah.
It might be funny to listen to that like in hindsight and see how like where we were during the first wave of the pandemic. Now we're in the second phase. We're about to go into another lockdown. I think it's pure speculation. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, where else can we plug? You can find K. Ross's I don't call you that. That is weird coming out. You can find his other artistic ventures under HumanErraH. That's human and era, like it's spelled era, ERA, but it sounds like error. It's a cool little play on words. You can find that on Instagram. And that's all the plug I'm gonna do for right now. I'm gonna get out your face so we can actually get to the shits. What's going on, Kalen? How you doing?
I'm vibing, man. Got into some arguments and shit a little earlier, but I'm vibing. Working on a lot of art lately, a lot of shit.
That's dope.
Yeah, HumanErraH is like just starting to do this thing, and I'm getting like random fans from like random spots and shit, and it's cool. People are actually digging some art. Get my link tree going and start doing shit from there.
That's what's up. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna start working with different mediums. Mixed mediums is gonna be a great thing. Some prints and shit.
Okay.
Yeah. And I can honestly say that getting back into like my art bag has been like cool. It's almost like a thoughtless process that has taken my mind kind of off lockdown problems and other shit like that. So
for sure, man.
Yeah, especially with us possibly
That's
going
what we
into
said all the way back when too. It's another cool little tie. We said that it's a good time to dive into things that you care about and your passions. Having all the time given your various employment statuses, or even for your own mental health, if you are still working and you are stressed the fuck out or whatever you're going through, taking time to just focus on things that you enjoy. Like it could be for me, I got myself a new hat because I like hats. You know what I mean? It's just doing things that you like to make yourself feel normal in a time where you might not feel comfortable going out. But honestly, a lot of y'all feel totally fine. And that's a problem, but it's the Rona. It's a problem. People dying.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not cashing that check as a person that's like so super fearful. I kind of was always at this road with coronavirus when it first started. Like, take your precautions, do your things to, like, I guess make other people feel comfortable around you, be like considerate. But I'm also not gonna, I'm also not gonna like sit and be fearful of the world around us. There's still people who literally have not left their homes yet and still have not seen anybody that's important to them because they're still fearful of getting sick. So
I feel that's really tough for those folks who are doing that. Like,
yeah,
I can't. Like, I've seen my friends. I'd say I see people. Like, I go out and see people maybe like, on average, it's been like once a month. It feels like.
Okay.
I see friends, and part of that's getting a little bit older. I'm comfortable saying I'm in my late to mid 20s, mid to late 20s.
It's late.
You know,
It's late.
so like you have less time to kick it with your friends like that. That's part of the game.
Mm.
But like even still, like I'm not seeing everybody at the rate I normally would
Mm.
on a given year because, you know, there's precautions and things, you know, with work schedules and people aren't necessarily the most comfortable going outside and doing their thing, which is totally understandable. So you kind of just do what you got to do, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's a struggle, at least to like watch those people kind of suffer and struggle with, I guess, like
The hardcore staying in crowd.
Yeah, like the responsibility. Like, I mean, the show hasn't met Bree yet. Hopefully at some point we can bring Bree in, but like she's a really good example of it where she's kind of, I guess, to my knowledge, she still like did regular things like maybe go to the store, maybe like go for a walk or something. But
yeah, she goes shopping like I think once every week or two.
mm-hmm.
But for the most part, she's been inside.
Yeah, that must be like rough, especially with a person that
she's not too bad. Like she has a couple, like our friends, Mike and Jess. Like I have a couple people that'll go and visit her every week or so or something like that. So she has company. It's not like she's in the house looking at her same four walls every day. Like
yeah,
people who are like that, where they're to that degree of concern, where they're like, I'm not interacting physically with people at all. I give them all the credit, and I give people who are just inside, without jobs, without the need to go outside, so they don't. I give them a lot of credit too. That's not to take away from them at all, but
mm-hmm.
you know, you have your outlets.
Yeah,
You have your outlets.
yeah. I mean, there's plenty of them. It just becomes I guess more of an issue because like now we're coming into like the holidays and shit. So like, you know, Christmas is around the corner. You know, I think Hanukkah just started. You know, you got Kwanzaa, you got like the New Year and shit. So it's like, what are we gonna do for all these holidays when usually we just congregate?
Jewish folk and happy Hanukkah.
Oh.
What do we do for the holidays? Easy. It's not gonna be the same. Like, granted, for me, like I celebrate the holidays. I have fun with the holidays. Yeah.
Mm.
But outside of like doing my little things with my friends the past few years, which I likely won't be able to do this year because, you know, Rona. My family is, we don't really link up like that on the holidays, so it's not that bad for me. I'm kind of used to being home alone because, you know, my mother generally works holidays, and so I'll be in the house. We probably do something in the morning, like we'll open a gift or two. We'll spend some time, but then by 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, shit's wraps. So I'm just in the house that day.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, it's not too bad, but if you're used to having that big family gathering and, you know, maybe a huge Christmas Eve dinner or what have you, then yeah, I can definitely see you having a little bit of like seasonal sadness or whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, just do what you can. It's not gonna be able to see grandma this year, but because you don't want her to fucking die. So just relax.
Yeah.
You just gotta sit the fuck down this year.
Yeah, I mean, like it does depend on like your dynamic for like the holidays a lot because you know, like for me, like I usually am also home usually alone on Christmas, and I usually take those periods of times to like work on shit that I'm doing, like, you know, artistically or sonically and shit. And I just use it as like a constructive period because I feel like it's almost like my holiday away from like, I guess, like regular shit.
Yeah, do what you want to do. It is a federal holiday where you're gonna more than likely be paid for it. You know, it's cool.
Yeah,
it's a day off that you're gonna have.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good that you do that for yourself and you find a way to make it somewhat special for you. You just dive into what you care about, and that's your creativity.
Yeah,
that's a good way to spend a holiday.
Yeah, I mean, do you have because you work with kids, and I know that at least since COVID happened, they you could be the judge of this, but they kind of took it more seriously about being like healthy around kids and like just coming in. No.
It's been taken more. In my job, my job is kind of reflective of the public in that I feel, in that when it first happened, they were hard body locking it down, blah blah blah, and that was good. the only difference between at this point in the year and from last year, we had some kids who like worked off campus who maybe had a job at like a Wendy's or, something short. Like even back in the day when we used to work together, we had some girls that used to that work that was up here. I didn't know at the time they like lived on the campus up here, and they worked where we worked.
Wow.
So you wouldn't even have known it, right? But like no, that's just hindsight talking. So but this year those kids who are old enough who are like 16, 17, they can't have jobs off campus, so they just go to school and they come back to the cottage. But they still have their home visits every weekend. They're gone for the holidays. Like, I personally think that they made themselves very open for an outbreak because for Thanksgiving the kids all went home.
Really?
Yeah. So if there's an outbreak at my job, which is why I'm not going to say my current employer's name because I was like I'm wishing death on them. It would make complete sense because with Thanksgiving especially, it's like a disease cesspool. Like it's a lot of buffet style eating. Oh, auntie make me a plate, or everybody make their own plates, and we're just gonna have the food spread out.
Yeah.
Pick up the same spoons and forks, and if one or two kids are, let's say 5 out of this is a low number, I'm lowballing it. Let's say 30 kids that went home for that weekend. If 5 of them had big family dinner parties, which I'm honestly I'm still lowballing, but I feel like that's a fair number because people are concerned with the virus, right? Mm-hmm. What are the odds that like someone's uncle, someone's aunt, someone's little cousin doesn't have the virus and they all spread it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just the odds-on thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, if a kid gets sick in we'll probably see results this week in terms of like the result the virus manifesting itself. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I feel like it was a huge risk, but like I feel like if this was the same, if the coronavirus had just happened in November, at the start of November or like end of October, they would not have let the kids go home for that holiday.
Yeah.
The fact that happened like last March is that natural, okay, we're living life.
Yeah.
And they eased up and let that happen.
I mean, there were I mean, reports around the time of like Halloweenish, early November, but this was like all in Wuhan, like before like it came to like American soil.
Yeah, I'm saying if it were like a national, if it were an issue in America at that point, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I know that the virus does seem to track back to around October of last year.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, if it was a national issue in our country at that point, like how it was initially, last spring, they would have had more of their guards up because they freeze the visits at that point then, so kids couldn't go home.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like they did that, and they're gonna let the kids go home for 2 weeks over the Christmas break. So it's kind of regular programming. They just can't do certain things that they'd like to do. Like they can't go to the movies, obviously, like that.
Yeah.
There's not as much off-campus programs that they can do.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because this is even as an adult that can actually go to places now that everything shuts down by like 10 o'clock. It's just like, what's the point of doing shit? It's just shitty. Like I remember,
I'm surprised they haven't locked it down because I remember last time when they first announced that curfew, we had like a week or two, and then they said, "All right, we're locking it in."
Some shit like that. It
something along those lines, right? It was a quick turnaround.
Yeah, it's kind of blurry because I feel like all that shit was just jumbled together, and between the daily news conferences and like everything that was trying to
all
be
the fear mongering.
Yeah, like every fucking had Cuomo every fucking day talking about coronavirus and shit. It just like it.
I didn't mind Cuomo. Cuomo did okay by me this year.
Okay.
In terms of like his political stance, he's a politician, but like, in terms of like how he like came out certain issues, him being like, all right, you have to stay the fuck home, and him being stern about it, it worked for me. I'm like, all right, that's good leadership. Niggas need to hear that shit like in an angry way, and how the realest shit he did this year was on the 4th of July, he said, the nigga said, like, he put up a post on Instagram, like, Happy Saturday.
Okay.
He's like, I'm not fucking with y'all like that. He said, Happy Saturday. I'm like, my nigga, okay. Hand clap.
Okay.
So I think it was either that or it probably was the 4th of July or Independence Day, one of the two.
Yeah, I mean, he was saying he said a lot of good shit. The funny thing that
he had a good year by me.
Yeah, but what drove me through a wall was like, all right, so I'm a part of like certain Facebook groups for communities like that I was like involved in or been around or whatever, and then like all like with community groups, people are just very opinionated when it comes down to anything. So around the time coronavirus came out, everybody's just talking about that. So it's like all
that's all you can talk about.
Yeah, it was like the super anti-maskers versus like the people who just wanted to literally just lock themselves in a vault, and then anybody who literally was like a pro-masker, I guess it's called that, they would just say that like Cuomo is like worthy of being the president for the way he handled coronavirus. And like literally almost like there was people who actually started like GoFundMe's for him for like his presidential campaign that he was going to try to put out.
He wouldn't run until like I felt
like that shit was wild to me, but teach his own.
I think part of what made people feel that strongly about it was the stark contrast between his stance and the president's stance.
Yeah.
It's like he gives a fuck and he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both talking like assholes more or less about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it worked on people.
I mean,
like some people really do want a stern leader, and him being stern but in the right direction, in my opinion, it kind of worked for people.
Yeah, I mean, it's also just media influence because, like, I remember when all this shit started, and I would never hear the end of it from Carrie, but, like, when we first were going into lockdown, it was, like, every hour you were getting briefed on what the fuck was happening. And then, you had people like her that was, I guess, a person who's, like, Facebook addicted, just used to, like, using social media and, like, seeing all these, like, ads about shit.
You gotta get off that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
it'll make you go crazy.
That's the thing. It's like she's a person like with anxiety, and it's like you're just on Facebook. Like, I'm not gonna say like all day necessarily. Like that's the only thing you do, but it's like that's the buffer.
It's a strong portion of your day.
Yeah, it's the lull in between you doing this and doing the next thing. It's like, oh, let me just go scroll on Facebook real quick. Let me go text real quick. Like it's, and it affected the way she perceived it.
That's a lot of people though, like who were with that. It's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, she's not the only person. It's just like I'm saying, like in general, like the way that everybody was manipulated, who in a negative way, from social media, it made the bigger difference for things like that. Because like me being a person that kind of didn't give a shit at all, I saw what Cuomo didn't hate it at all. I saw what Trump did. A bit irresponsible for the leader of your country, but it's like, all right, I get what his mindset is because he's not going to be the most sound-minded person at all in comparison to like every person in this country. There's a lot of people that would have made brash decisions and would have made very sound ones, but everybody just fed into everything that was getting pumped out instead of just doing research and other shit about it and understanding that it's not necessarily just only on Trump and what the fuck he was doing. There's a lot of things at play.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it was I wouldn't say he deserves like a run at president just for saying that you should wear a mask, because I had like next door neighbors and fucking normal people just telling me to do this same shit anyway.
That's the credentials.
I mean, what does him being the mayor and shit like that, or just what do you mean?
Him being the mayor and having a stance and standing on his own too on it is what gives people that like leeway. Like, yeah, of course, me, you, and whoever can say, yo, you should probably wear a mask or whatever the fuck. It's sound advice, but we're not politicians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Granted, there's the joke of Trump's not a politician. He made it happen. He became the president, whatever the fuck. But like, it's a politician making that stance. And I'm not one to cape for politicians at all. That's not really my cup of tea. But that's what people flock to it in that way. You know what I mean? Where they're like, the motherfucker who's trying to lead the state said something and he stood by it. That's it. And he looked confident in doing so.
I mean, good, but I mean, but
we're one of the biggest states in the country, and like biggest cities in the country. So like it looks like you could lead it on a bigger scale.
I mean, I guess so.
We're all just talking heads. I feel like you'd be a good talking head. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, I mean, it's just how much people just invested into this one person without doing any research, because like nothing in terms of that, but when it comes down to like, and this is why like a big reason why I kind of despise politics is that the Republicans on like my social media feeds and everything are just going to shit on Cuomo, but with no actual evidence of why to shit on him or not.
It's just not on. He's not on their team.
Yeah, same thing for the people that don't promote it. That's why it's like you guys are just saying this because
it would be like me, a New York Knicks fan, saying Jason Tatum sucks, or who's the team that, or Jimmy Butler's whack because the Knicks and Heat used to have beef in the '90s. You know what I mean? No, that nigga's good at what he does.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting this tired of like the really uninformed people in the world that I guess
this is not on my team. Like if a Republican comes at me with like a good, and because I'll sit and listen to their side and tell you some shit where it's like, yo, word, that's valid. I'll take it in stride and I'll learn from it, and I might alter my opinion off of that. If it's explained to me properly and it seems and it stands to reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not with that tribalism shit where it's like, this is how I'm on the blue team and I vote with the blue team. It just so happens that I have more liberal leanings because more liberal views fall in line with my personal views. But I still consider myself very much an open voter.
Okay.
Like if a Democrat comes out on some bullshit, like these are my stances. Like that's part of why I know she's the vice president now, but I wouldn't fuck with Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
You know, like as the president, I feel like as number 2 she'll do fine until Joe dies, then we're fucked. But like,
yeah.
But like, I wasn't really fucking with like a lot of her stances. I actually want Andrew Yang to win, for being real, for real. But like, once Bernie was out, of course, I want Andrew Yang.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this is your blue, or even Kamala Harris is a black and Asian woman. Like, so it's not because she like has something in common with me. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean I'm gonna outright just go with her.
Yeah, I mean, like I didn't agree with a lot of her stances. I don't agree with mandating the vaccine either, which is like what Joe Biden was talking about. I'm not pro anything that necessarily Trump was doing necessarily either. I feel like the candidates that we have and what we decided to choose as like who we wanted to represent America was
went lesser of two evils.
It's just there's always better options, like, you know, like that whole thing about Andrew Yang and Bernie, and you know what I mean, like these are
Niggas was on to something, but like they didn't get through.
But that's the thing.
I think Yang was probably should have got it. I feel like it's just mostly racism. They didn't want. They was ready for the Asian president. That's why I really, because if you listen to him speak, they're actually trying to trickle in some of his ideas on the low. They just didn't want him to be the figurehead. Mm. That's all.
I mean, but this is the thing. It's like
I think president low key.
I mean, this is the thing though. Like, I don't know if that was the case, because like I look at it this way. It's like, are we really going to be more accepting of? And it's not like I believe this at all. This is just like what the general consensus of how like society treats shit is, that I don't really see like a world where a black woman necessarily means more than an Asian man in America, because like a lot of times I see it as reversed.
I do.
How
I
so?
think-
And why, please, sir?
On like the shitty, this is like a shitty totem polling question basically. It's like who's getting dicked on a little bit less. I'd put it as white man, white woman. Then I'd say black men are next. Then,
Interesting.
then I'd put no. Then I'd put. I actually put Hispanic men because some Cubans think they're white. I put them over full black men because they are black. There's niggas with good hair.
Yes.
That's my stance.
Yes.
So I put them over Hispanic men, then black men. Then I would put. Hispanic women because they're fetishized more. Then I put the black woman. Then I put the Asians. And it's fucked up because Asians do very well in this country.
I'm gonna try to list this as just so I can kind of compare.
It's like the who's gonna get shit on first totem pole.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's really fucked up. It's not cool because I think when I think Asians, I'm gonna include Indians and other people with Western cultures in that grouping too.
Yeah, I mean
because the brown folk, they get treated like shit. Like they still had to put up with fucking Apu and all this other shit being their number one speaking voice. And now it's a little bit better because they have what's shorty name from The Office, and Aziz Ansari and
oh, you're talking about Mindy Kaling.
Mindy Kaling, she's really good.
Yeah,
they have more. There are more Indian voices on TV, but that
used to be Bay.
Representation matters in that way, but there's still very few of them. And how many not embarrassing Asian let's say Asian men are there on TV?
Mm-hmm.
How many cool Asian characters are there in TV that are anime characters?
Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Yao Ming is kind of there. Jeremy Lin, who else?
Jeremy Lin still caught racist jokes. Jackie Chan, if he's not fighting, they're making fun of how he talks. That's not cool.
But everybody gets shit on.
Bruce Lee's that nigga, I guess.
But everybody,
he went through it.
But everybody gets shit on that. That's the thing. It's it doesn't matter who you really are because it's Barack was supposed to be the coolest president that we ever had, but he had a plethora.
Black man cool.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's all. That's shit. It's shitty. But those stereotypings and those shit that does kind of matter in terms of perception of people.
But there's white people that hated him too. That's the thing. It's there's black people that hated him.
They're still hating niggas no matter what.
Yeah.
But I'm just totem. That's my totem pole honestly, because I feel representation matters, and there isn't a strong enough group of overall all encompassing Asian characters. When I think of Asian American actors, I think of Bobby Lee, and he's weird on purpose.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help. I think of the dude from the Hangover.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That nigga must embarrass. You know how you feel as a black man when you see fucking Pootie Tang come on TV? I feel if I were an Asian person, when I see him on TV, I'd be like, oh my god, this motherfucker here, boy. It would make me feel bad in that way. He's Pootie Tang for Asians. You know what I mean?
I could kind of get that, but it's
this nigga's not good for the culture right now.
Well, I mean,
and there's some cool Asian dudes like China Mac and niggas like that, but it's not. Their representation is not the best in this country, and I feel that negatively affected the perception of Andrew Yang being the president. I do. I think race is a big factor in that.
It probably is.
The worst Kamala's gonna get is the angry black mama memes. That's all she's gonna get is angry black woman memes. But is that really bad as a leader? No, because she can get shit done. As an angry black woman.
Well, I mean, she gets shitted on for locking up mad black men and shit too. So.
Oh yeah, but that's the facts, not perception.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking purely on perception, not the facts. Just solely off optics. I'm not talking about policy. Just purely optics.
A lot of men are threatened by women.
Why Hillary didn't win.
Yeah, but a lot of men are threatened by women, but especially black women, because black women are very intimidating to most men outside of
black women memes.
Yeah, but at the same time, But at the same time, I feel like here's the thing. I think I remember reading some shit where there was. Well, hold on.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Like the I'm talking shit that she got. People try to make that a fucking meme. Like her when like the nigga was cutting her off.
Mm-hmm.
When Pence was cutting her off, and she's like, "Mr. Vice President, I'm talking."
Mm-hmm.
They tried to make that seem bitchy. You know what I mean? He was talking over her, and it was her turn to talk.
Yeah.
And she cut his ass off because that was their strategy.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. But like the thing is, like the totem pole is kind of weird because I think I remember reading something.
It might be fucked up in some ways. Asians might be higher than I'm giving them credit for, but I feel like they're gonna get shit on before we get shit on. Not by much, but they're gonna get it still. Even their stereotypes is pressure. Asians are so smart. That's fucking pressure.
I mean, there's always gonna be stereotypes, but the thing that I was referring to was like there was something I read like a while ago about like the most disrespected gender and race, and they had like its own totem pole, and it basically said
Asian
that
men, right?
Asian men and black women, they literally were neck and neck, which is this kind of, it's weird because like we've had a first lady, we do now have a, not yet, but we will have a black vice president and everything, and
first vice president elect, I guess is the current term.
Yeah,
it's wordy, it's weird,
and
we know we're getting that.
Yeah, and then the same shit you referenced, where like Asian men are viewed as jokes, like they're viewed as the most non-sexual creatures, which is just like, you know,
that's mad and masculine. It's like they're saying these folks. It's not cool because like I said, when you think of a cool Asian character, it takes you a second. You gotta think, well, they can fight, so they cool. Like, who's Will Smith cool as an Asian dude? Not necessarily fight. He's just a cool character. He's a leading man.
Does Keanu Reeves count?
Leading man. Huh?
Does Keanu Reeves count?
Nah, he looks white. He's white passing.
He has like some Asian, you know.
He has some Asian features, but he's white passing.
Uh,
That's like saying is Halsey Collins a black woman? Yeah, she's a black woman, but she's very white passing. So if Halsey has to tell you she's black.
So it has,
you know what I mean?
It has to be like an all Asian person?
I have to see this dude and be like, yo, that's an Asian dude right there. You might be able to hit me with Kumail Nanjiani, but like he just got there. He's still kind of known as a funny guy. It's kind of hard for me to see him as a true leading guy, but he's built the shit. You know what I mean? But like, it's just perception is off.
This might be an ignorant question, but
this is an ignorant topic right now. Go for
it. So all right, are Samoans a part of? They're part of Asian culture, right? Like they're South Polynesian.
That's a good point, but I think The Rock is black. We stole him.
Wait. No, wait. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about like Troy Polamalu and shit like that. Like that dude's pretty cool.
Football player.
He was pretty cool, especially in his prime.
He was cool. That is a cool Pacific. Do we give the Pacific Islanders to Asian culture?
They are kind of Asian, yeah.
They're Asian adjacent. Yeah, Troy Polamalu and The Rock are the coolest Asian adjacent people. But you see, that's not enough, right? Like, there's a problem there.
I mean, The Rock
is Dwayne Johnson.
I mean, what are we gonna do though? Because like, there's other.
Let Asian niggas be cool again. Like, let them be cool. Like,
yo, bro, your doppelganger.
Let that nigga be the lead man,
bro.
Like,
your doppelganger is Asian.
Save the world in the movie. Let him be an action hero. Why not? Fuck it. That's what you need. You like show them being cool, heartthrobs and shit like that. That's why I'm that. What was that movie that was over glamorized? Crazy Rich Asians. That's why it was cool because it was this hot Asian rich nigga banging bitches. Like that was the appeal of the movie. He's like, yo, they're rich as fuck and he's fucking bitches and he's Asian dude. Good shit.
I got one.
You need to see people do that. You know what I mean? It's necessary.
I kind of got one, but I don't really. I don't think he's cool, but the fact that this nigga came out and had this song, I forgot what this dude's name is, but he came out with a song in like 2004, and he was like, yo, you better learn Chinese. You better speak Chinese. It was a rap song. This nigga rapped over the G-Unit era and made a song about speaking Chinese because he was Asian, and it was on fucking BET.
Rich Brian.
Just, what the fuck is this nigga's name? I can't remember. Oh my god. But it song came out like 2004. Let me just see if I can find it, but that shit was crazy. But I don't know any.
The dude who made Rich Chick, I'm thinking of.
Not that dude. This.
No, I'm saying he's much younger, but I'm saying.
Oh,
even Asian rappers is like it's hard. That's a weird niche.
Oh, Keith Ape. Keith Ape is even though he stole from Moji Mako, that nigga's mad cool. He made the Ichima. Woo. Underwater.
Yeah, that shit's kind of weird and derivative, but that's just
yeah.
That's the K-popization of hip hop, and it's cool.
Okay.
All right.
I can't. Yeah.
But you gotta dig deep, right? Like, come on.
Yeah, that's some digging because it's
now
like.
Now find you an Asian nerd on TV.
Okay. That's like.
You could probably do that much quicker.
You said no cartoon characters, right? So.
Honestly, if you can find me a cool Asian other than the American Dragon Jake Long, I'll allow it. I'll allow it both ways. Other than the American Dragon Jake Long, who just talked like a city nigga.
Yeah, he was kind of like, he was ratchet, but
I'm a ratchet ass dragon, man.
You know what?
Poppy brothers,
bro. What made it worse is that he was half white, and I'm like, this nigga's getting away with it. Like, what the fuck?
They're letting him slide.
Yo, I was punching the air, bro. Like, what the fuck?
They're letting him slide. They don't know he's dragon. They can beat him up still.
Oh my god. But
him and his ratchet ass black ghetto best friend.
Yeah.
The little black girl they put with him.
She had puffs.
I make this shit normal, yo. I make Jake pass. Cause I'm the hood bitch best friend.
Bro, that shit needs to stop. That shit needs to fucking stop.
Fucking A.
Oh my god.
I wonder if they gave her like a racist ass name.
Like Sharkeisha.
If it's anything when Isha, I'm mad.
Bro, my sister is a name after Isha, and I'm just like, alright, chill, bitch.
That's black culture. That's black culture.
Project as hell.
American Dragon, Jake Long.
God.
What brings me here?
I haven't watched that show since like I don't know, I was like 14 in like 2006, so like yeah.
Something along those lines, yeah.
Yeah, some shit like that.
What's her name?
Can't remember. But she looks like that girl from Dobbs. Like Jacqueline or whatever. I can't remember.
I gotta find.
Looking for it?
Yeah, I gotta find it.
Oh, Omi from Shaolin Showdown was a lit nigga, even though he was annoying as fuck. He was a dickhead.
He was a dork.
Yeah, he was. But the fact that he used to whoop so much ass, and then once he found out he wasn't the chosen one, then he became like a wing nigga. So he was a shit for a while, and then
what you mean we are the chosen one? They couldn't let him be great in his own show. You see, he had this big ass cowboy nigga take his thunder.
No, it wasn't him. It was the Brazilian dude Raimundo. He was the chosen one. And you know what? He looked white, so you know what?
Trixie Carter, huh? Trixie. Am I gonna let Trixie slide? It's not a nigga name. I'll let it go.
Trixie is definitely a nigga name now. I feel like if this was like the 1970s, maybe you could pass with that. But I think it became black.
Well, because at the same time, on Fairly Odd Parents, it was a Trixie, and she was a little Asian girl.
Was she Asian? So Vicky was Asian?
Trixie Tang. She was Asian as fuck.
So is Vicky Asian too? Isn't that her like little sister?
Nah, it was white.
Wait,
it was white.
Wait, who was her sister?
Trixie Tang was like the girl that he wanted to get with, but like she wasn't giving him no play.
Oh.
She was a popular bitch.
I got it confused with the other one, Tootie.
Yeah, Tootie. Yeah, Trixie Tang was Asian.
Yeah, same. Yeah, that was.
And there was a white guy trying to fuck an Asian girl. For the culture.
Okay. Okay.
For the culture.
I'm not against interracial shit, obviously, but like,
yeah, not at all.
But I always find it weird when I see like the white guy Asian woman fetish thing going on. Like, I know some like white guys that just want to fuck Asian girls.
It's a two-way street too.
It's just like, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's just like, why are you making it seem like a trope, bro? Like, if you're just into girl, like you're just into this, you're into this. But like, why are you like looking for specifics?
Weird. It's an interesting duality there.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's like, why are y'all making this weird? It doesn't have to be like this.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe I'm just speaking from like a more open-minded standpoint because I'm into like all different types of women. So like, I don't look for a type. It's just like, oh, like, let me just make sure that you're cool with me like smoking and just whatever. And other than that, it's like, it's cool. But I know people that literally go out of their way to look for this. Like, it's just a fetish, and it's weird.
That shit is odd to me.
Yeah, that and the niggas that are like 25 fucking like 16-year-olds.
Truly gross.
Yeah.
Damn, I can't.
But with the pedophiles or?
Yeah, with the pedophiles. Nigga.
I didn't know if you were talking about something else, but.
I can't.
That shit was wild in high school, bro. Like, I had an
Leave her alone.
Bro, I had an ex-girlfriend.
She put her dolls away last year. Leave her alone.
I had an ex-girlfriend who ended up dating some dude who was like 9 years older than her in high school.
Shit is weird, man.
And they were together for years. It's not even like oh, he was just fucking for a little bit. They were together for like 3-4 years. And I'm like, what's wrong with you, bro? Like, with the time you guys broke up, you were in your 30s.
I can gladly say that I don't know anybody like that currently.
Thank God.
And I can only imagine that perhaps they're so mentally immature that they feel now insecure in themselves. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And now that they're not able to relate to women their own age, so they think, alright, if I fuck with this young bitch, she low-key won't see how corny I am. That's what I really think. I think it's insecurity. I really think it's like that. Like, I definitely can't bag a bitch my age because I'm not about shit. So I could go drive my car around. You know what I mean? My mom lets me out the basement on the weekends to myself. So I'm popping to a 16-year-old chick.
Yeah. I feel that.
You know? I have a regular job. These niggas that she's supposed to in high school, they work 4 hours a week or 16 hours a week. You know, I'm talking about making $100. I make $500 a week. Fuck with me. You know what I mean? Like,
it goes into that age-old quotable Chris Rock performance where he said that I don't know if this is exactly the words, but he said basically something along the lines of women never go back in lifestyle.
Oh, they don't go backwards in lifestyle.
Yeah.
I've expanded. I heard that bit. It's really good. Women, it's hard to go backwards. To go from like, I'm bougie like that. I'm the same way. I think people have a hard time. Like right now, you live in the city. You don't need to drive anything like that. But let's say while you're up here, you had a nice car, everything like that. Wouldn't it have been an adjustment period that would not have been the funnest for you? Once you moved to the city, you had to give up your car and everything like that. You take the train every day and have to wait for the train and have to wait on buses and shit like that. Wouldn't that have been annoying adjustment for you even? It's hard going backwards. Well, in terms of comfort and convenience, you know what I mean? For me, people in general.
For me specifically, that wouldn't be an issue because I'm just naturally nomadic. Like, I've had periods of time where I kind of had access to a car and I could maybe drive it for a little bit, but mainly not. But
having it be your shit all day, every day.
Yeah.
And being able to, like right now, you gotta sort of, you mentally know the train schedule, right? Like, you know that, all right, I have to be there, at that a certain point, blah, blah, blah. But now you can be out however long you want to be out, hop right in the car, no waiting in the subway, boom, boom. Granted, parking is a bitch in the city, but without that being a factor mentally, that shit is just so much more convenient than having to say, fuck, the train's down, I gotta get this fucking shuttle bus and be packed in like a sardine and shit like that.
I mean,
as opposed to being able to blast your system in your car and playing your music and shit like that. It's hard to go backwards in life for people.
I mean, it depends on like where I'm at in life too, because it's like I wouldn't mind taking a step back. Like a mutual friend of ours, I'm not gonna go into his personal business like that, but like he had the opportunity to do something in his field, diploma wise, but he was gonna earn $1,000 less each year, but he would be doing something that he went to school for and paid thousands of dollars to go do.
I remember the scenario. It's a tough call in the moment, but like, it's ultimately. You can finish the story. I'm sorry.
Well, I was basically dumb, but basically it's like that. Like in my opinion, at least in my eyes, that would have been the smart thing to do, is to take the job for like $1,000 less.
Because it's not even a risk.
Yeah, it's $1,000. That's like maybe like 3 paychecks, and you can figure out how to like finesse the money. The thing is that when you go back in lifestyle, it's like, how much of a leap backwards are you taking? Because it's like, that's like, if we're talking about like me having my own place with like my girl and my daughter, to moving back in with my mom and shit to do shit, that's a different thing than just saying
that's
that like
a hard step back.
Yeah. So it just depends on like the momentum of your step back, because you can fly back or you can just step back.
Yeah, like that situation where it's like, all right, you're working in the field that you graduated for. You have your degree in this field. You have to take this step back right now. But by the time you gotta think, because like your degree, that's a career move, right?
Yeah.
Anything that you're doing right now, if it's not in line with what you want to ultimately be doing, it's worth it. Like, for however long, especially, I think at the time, he wasn't living at home.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, he could probably finesse it. You just can't have as much fun as you would be having and making that much money. You probably can't save this at the same rate, but for a year or two, and then you can maybe get on in your field and really step up. Now this degree that you spent thousands of dollars on, it's turning a profit for you, and you're getting a payback on that massive investment that you made. At that point, yeah, it's absolutely, it's worth it, because right now you're making money, but by the time you're in your mid-30s, you'll really be seeing that investment pay off in a big way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you got the job that you have now currently, and you leave it on good standing, I'm sure they would like, and you work hard, and they'll probably be like, oh, he was good when he's here, we can take him back if you do it the right way. If you like give proper notice, or maybe you can try and find people to take your job for you, whatever. You can leave a job on good terms and come back to it, no question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not that man, but, and I don't know what he had going on at that time. I feel like I might have taken that same stance and just said, all right, I'm gonna step back. It's gonna suck a little bit. I can't have as much fun as I'm having for a little bit. I gotta kind of be a little bit more low key for a bit. I'm probably still making okay money, but it's not gonna be the same. Alright, but then in a year or two from now, I'm gonna be doubling back and probably making more money.
Yeah.
Paying off this tuition, this student loan, and
if you intend to pay for it, but
yeah, which he likely does.
It's been a thing, but that's another conversation for another time. But I do agree, because well, I mean, obviously, because I made the point, but I have a friend that we all went to college together. There's another friend, not that person, that did the same thing, in the like he wanted the same diploma, the same type of shit. And he's like on my IG living his best life. Like he worked for Google, he worked for like YouTube, he worked for like mad shit. He works on a show now. He was doing like like the Judge Hatchet shows. He was working on sets like that and doing a bunch of things with it. Like, he gets to travel for free. The thing is that like, we all started school around the same time, and this guy's just doing this shit. Granted, we know different people, different connections, all different types of shit. Look at what he's doing, and like, it's not even like he wasn't necessarily a person that was like pushing super, super hard. Now, this other person I know could maybe do that as well, but it's like, you just got to make the decision to see what you want, because like you could be going from like making X amount of dollars per year to making this much, and it's like, you reach newer heights, you grow, you're able to afford to do the things that you want to do. I feel like a lot of people just don't have faith in themselves to make those leaps, even with like the credentials.
It's a gamble,
Yeah.
It's harder to do certain things, but it's tough. It's a tough call. I never want to count someone else's pockets, but I can look at the situation and be like, I would went in a different direction than he did.
Yeah.
And you can see now that this guy, who is probably the same caliber of worker as our boy, is doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like it's gonna pan out the right way for him, but it is what it is. That's life. Those are choices,
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't really fault somebody for having that. I guess we could say doubt or anxiety about a situation, but like you can't really fault somebody for that, because it's like you never know what the hell will happen, because it's like this kid, like it could be like a thing like where maybe your rent is fucked up, you get fired, all types of shit can fucking happen and take place,
right?
And that security that you had from that job, that like last couple of dollars could have like maybe held you over for something that was better. But I mean, I feel like if anybody out there listening, if you're a dreamer and you like the things that you do and your crafts and everything, just keep pursuing them, do it. Even if it means taking like a slight step back, because setbacks are not necessarily like death sentences.
Especially while you're younger, like when you have less things riding on you. Like let's say you are person where maybe you live home, or you live in a certain part of the country where your rent's not too expensive, you can kind of make it work. Especially while you're young, before you have other things to worry about, more heavy bills. Maybe you might have some kids running around. Before you have all that on your plate, go for it. While your time is still completely yours, try it. Fucking do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
you gotta make those moves. You never want to be thinking shoulda, coulda, woulda in terms of like things that you wanted to do when you look back on things.
Yeah, it's are you familiar with, because you were talking about Aziz Ansari before. Is it Ansari or Sorry?
I'm sorry.
Okay, the guy who got accused of being a molester when some girl sucked his dick, but that guy.
I'm gonna clean that up for you, because like that story was, he wasn't even accused of all that. He was accused of being too pushy. Like, because Aziz came out very hard on the side of women and everything like that, and which is the right stance, believe women, blah blah blah. But then he got called out, and women will low key tell you that girl was kind of dragged it a bit to make it sound like worse than what it actually was. What happened was, like, they were hooking up or whatever, and Aziz wanted to like fuck or whatever. He wanted to like, have it progress a little bit further than what their hookup situation was, and she wasn't vocal with her being uncomfortable, but she made like physical gestures, like she was like a little bit like, all right, that's enough for me. But he either didn't read that properly, or he ignored those signals.
Oh
and
my!
Kept going, but he didn't. They didn't. After a point, she was like, all right, this is enough. I'm good. I'm sorry. And he was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Blah blah blah. The things like, do you still kind of want to? But, like after like he did the whole calm her back down thing, which was shitty, because it's like, nigga, no, we just had this whole talk. I don't want to do this. But like he wasn't. I don't think that story bears out that he was physically rapey or aggressive. He just didn't read the non-verbal cues, and which it's hard to say that, oh, she should have said something, because if you feel uncomfortable, you don't always feel like talking. You might feel weird, especially sexually. It can be a little weird saying stop, or like sometimes it's like that for some people. I'm trying to be considerate. I'm not trying to say, if you ever want to say no, just say no. But like sometimes you can't. Whatever. I'm cleaning up. But yeah, so she wasn't verbally like expressing, I want this to stop here. So he kind of kept trying to keep going, and she was at the point she was like, no, I'm gonna go. So don't say that try to make some girl suck his dick. That sounds way worse than what it was. But that's some career threatening shit. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, the way that all that came out like 2-3 years ago,
it made him seem like a fucking demon. Like,
I mean, like I read it differently, because on all over my social media, people were actually backing him completely, where it was just like, like, oh, like he kind of didn't do anything wrong. He's not that type of person. And she ended up giving him like, there was like fellatio involved, and she was okay with it at that time. Like she never made any like actual sounds about it being a thing, and said like, you know,
exactly.
You
She's like, she never like verbally said, hey, I want to stop this.
Yeah.
There was a lot of body language that he didn't pick up on or whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, but we're getting sidetracked from what I was actually gonna. What was I gonna actually present to you?
I was trying to.
Oh, I got
I
you.
will cape up for Aziz. I'm sorry. I like his work. I'll cape for Aziz.
He's funny, and Observer Report is, even though not a very liked movie, I liked it a lot, and I liked his role in it. It was kind of funny. But basically, me tying him into what we were talking about before was that we were discussing doing things while you're young, and we're fairly young in our lives, you know, unless something crazy happens right now. But in that show, especially in the first, well, not, I didn't mention the show. It's called Master of None.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, part of an old saying, but it's one of my favorite beach house songs. It's fire. But anyway, he ended up dating a girl in the first season, who like Zoe Deschanel kind of, and
that kind of character. I remember the season.
Yeah. So they ended up talking about travel, like they were in the midst of a breakup kind of, and she ended up coming back to him like into their apartment and just told him randomly after like a couple days, like, hey, I'm going to Tokyo, I'm moving there. And he was like, why? Like, why are you going out there? He's like, it's our, this is one of our last chances to do shit. And they're like, pretty much almost mid-30s. And they were just basically saying like, this is basically our last chance to kind of just do shit before we can't really, because we might have other obligations. We can actually end up getting married, having kids, and you know what I mean? And he ended up leaving the country that year to go to Italy to make pasta and shit, because like he was inspired by what she said and shit.
That's one of his goals. That's one of his dreams.
Yeah. So the thing is like, you have
all your time is still yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Basically,
live out your goals. People say I always wanted to go to press, wanted to do that. Do that shit. You gotta find a way to make it happen. Maybe you try and work a second 2 or 3 jobs to save up to have extra money, but you're a little bit less lit on the weekends. Maybe you're that kind of guy who likes the big Montclair coat, the big fancy stuff, and you want those pictures for when you look back and be like, tell your kids you was lit. Maybe that's who you are, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But maybe you are more interested in that. Like, make time to travel. Like, make time to do things you want to do. You got it. Like, I'm getting involved in things that I really want to do. Right now, I have a certain set of goals that I want to do for the next couple of years before. I want to do before 30. A few group trip plans that I want to do, but that requires people being interested in also having their goals in line with mine. But we'll see how that goes. But ultimately, I still have plans and things that I want to do for myself. And while I'm still have time and I don't have any other requirements or obligations that I have to really buckle down on.
I feel that. I mean, that's like, it's a real response because I feel like you said earlier, to tie back to like what we were speaking about in the beginning was that, you know, we're in that stage of our lives because we're both in our late 20s. And, you know, you don't necessarily see your best friends. Like, you know, you're one of my best friends. And I haven't seen you since we were trying to check out apartments and shit, which was like maybe like a month and a half ago.
Month and a half. Does that feel right? Feels right.
I don't know, because it's like with everything that was happening COVID, bro, like I feel like it's been at least like 3 years almost, when it's only been like maybe like 9 months, 10. You know, it's been
a long year. It's been a long year.
I've just been cycling doing the same shit.
A lot has happened.
Yeah.
This if you want to do a real year in review episode, this is a little bit of a plug. The fellas are trying to link up and do a real year in review.
Yes.
And I'm gonna try and really go through and categorize everything, and from virus outbreak to pre-virus. Now people were kind of having weird energy about before everything hit. And you know, Kobe, the virus, the
Pop Smoke,
the riots, the fall hasn't been that bad, but then you can go into the election. This has been a very long year.
Yeah, it's
very weighty year.
Yeah, I mean, Wet Ass Pussy basically took us from like August all the way to like October, almost November.
That was the fun month, wasn't it? August was the fun month.
Kind of. It was like where like everybody kind of relaxed. Like we hung out a few times in August, but like the thing is like that's when everybody was just like, all right, fuck it, I don't really care anymore. Let's just meet up instead of just like, you know,
what you call it, because things started to open again for that period of time. You know, outdoor dining was popping really big in their part of the fall. So yeah, if we're gonna really do this, we gotta really map it out. I want to do a really good year in review show. Yeah, that can be good. So that's a little tease, just a little plug. Stick with the channel. Give us a like. Give us a comment. Comment some events you think I might forget. Help me out. Help me make a good entertaining product for you. Thank you. Let's get back into it. Going on now. I feel like basketball just ended. Okay. In terms of the playoffs, but it's actually starting right back up tomorrow. Today is, currently tonight, because it is currently Friday. We're gonna pull back the curtain for you. Friday morning, December the 11th, and tonight I know the Knicks have their first preseason games tonight. So, and the Knicks have been off for 9 months. So that means most basketball fans, if your team wasn't a playoff team, because, you know, it's just how it kind of works, you haven't seen your team in 9 months, so it should be kind of exciting. I mean, I know a lot of teams are, if you're really a real sports nerd like I am, it must be kind of cool to see your team back out there. But it was a really quick turnaround, you know. It feels like basketball just ended. I mean, they're right back on. I mean, it kind of did, because I think the end of the playoffs was like the beginning of October, maybe late September. They had like 2 months more or less. It's like you don't even get the chance to miss it, which I like, because I think basketball is becoming my favorite sport to watch currently. I still love football, but I think I enjoy watching basketball more because it's just more constant. Bro, I'm literally was just thinking about this like for the past almost 2 weeks. Where it's more entertaining. I think it is more entertaining. Like, bro, like it's funny because like most people I meet, some people are basketball fans, some people are not. But I feel like football is not nearly as entertaining as it used to be. Maybe like high school, post high school, and maybe like a little bit after that. But other than that, I say that I feel like I'm more nerdy for football. I do fantasy football. I know a bunch of random ass players that people don't give a fuck about because they're not the biggest stars. I'm more of a nerd for football, and I can really dig into like all the numbers and shit like that. Yeah. But with basketball, I can just sit down, watch any random team play, and be like, "This is a good time." Yeah, it's a better show. It's definitely a better show, but I feel like it's also because like there's more happening like continuously. Like with basketball, there's more happening with basketball
with football, everything there's always halts. There's always like
stoppages of play.
Yeah, it's like, all right, it's like another 40 seconds. Then they'll maybe like try to snap the ball with like 10 seconds left, maybe like 5. And then there's also timeouts. There's also reviews of plays. There's fucking penalties. There's all kind of shit that's actually just like stopping everything from happening. Like, I think that's why a big,
and
like a
lot
lot
of...
of...
going to see like a huge... Like for me, like a big highlight in football, my favorite play to watch is like, let's say like a big catch and run or like a crazy quick touchdown. Those are very few and far between. Whereas for me, a big dunk is a crazy play to me, or like a buzzer beater. You're gonna see more big dunks and buzzer beaters, stuff like that, in a basketball game than you will a long run or a touchdown or a bomb touchdown pass than you will in an average football game. They're just it's a much slower game.
Yeah.
And if you're a real good nerd with it, you can like watch the lines play and watch how this guy moved this guy, and that's cool if you really want to dig into it when you're really in the mood for some football. But I feel like I'm more likely to be in the mood to just say entertain me, and basketball is more like that for me.
I feel like sports like
defensive struggle doesn't inspire me in basketball, but in football doesn't inspire me, but in basketball it might. Like a close defensive game, like with a bunch of block shots and steals and terms like that, that's exciting still.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely agree, because I think that's why a lot of people are big soccer fans and hockey fans as well, because it kind of doesn't...
I can't do it.
I get why you can't do it, but I'm saying that like it never really stops. And like I've dated
That aspect, okay.
yeah, like I dated in every other country in the world, like soccer's the biggest sport in the world, right?
Yeah, no question. That's
Yeah.
not even a debate.
So the girls that I dated that were from other countries were big soccer fans. They was just like the biggest thing to talk about. You can watch like FIFA, you can just sit down and just sit there to watch a lot of shit. I also went to high school with white people, so like I understand like how they're about hockey and things like lacrosse. So
My school didn't have hockey. I think your school was bigger than mine.
I
There was
didn't-
no hockey team.
we didn't have hockey there, like hockey teams, but people were big Ranger fans for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just like the Rangers
There
are
was
the
just a
shit.
crossover there.
Yeah, but it was more like centered around like the Jets. The Jets were like the biggest thing up there, and then it's like the Yankees. Weirdly enough.
my area in terms of like New York sportsdom, not as vocal of a hockey community. I don't know of any real hockey fans because my school was so football through and through. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If it was definitely the big sports was football, basketball, and then lacrosse, and then baseball was kind of on. But mainly it was lacrosse in the spring. But like, in terms of sports that they watched, it would be the teams that they watch would be the Giants. I would say basketball is weird because we're in the LeBron era, so people would be more fans of certain players. But generally speaking, it would be like if I'm thinking back to high school and middle school,
I feel like less
there were
white.
a few Rockets fans because people love T-Mac. There were your Heat fans because they love D-Wade. LeBron fans is always going to be a thing. There's not as much team loyalty. I was always a Knicks fan and who likes LeBron. Like, if the Knicks were playing LeBron, I'm rooting for the Knicks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if this is a weird generalization to make, but for some reason, it's so funny that, like, I feel like people hate LeBron more for whatever reason, but like it's so funny because it's like any person who I know as a basketball fan that's white, not all of them, they love Michael Jordan, but they hate LeBron. And I feel like once LeBron was introduced,
white people don't like LeBron as much.
I feel like a lot don't. I don't know if that's like
That's an interesting take.
I don't know if it's a thing because it's like, think about it this way: like LeBron came out when I was
funny.
What?
That might be a low key good point, but I never put too much stock into it. I think LeBron gives white people ungrateful nigger vibes. If I'm thinking about it, like, because I remember back when like LeBron left Cleveland, I think we were in middle school or certainly not early high school. I don't remember the exact year. We left for Miami.
Mm-hmm.
People who I didn't know watched basketball suddenly hated LeBron, and I didn't know why. Like there was this one lily white girl, very pretty girl. I don't know, but my current theory is if you're white, I don't trust you. If you're white and blonde, I don't trust you. But she's a nice person. I don't think she's evil.
Yeah.
But like, so I'm talking to her. I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna say her name. I'm gonna call her Lori. Yo, Lori.
Okay.
What's
That's
up?
cute.
What are you so mad about today? Like, fucking LeBron sucks, man. He's a fucking traitor. I'm like, wait, what? You watch Cavalier basketball? This what? Yeah, he left his hometown. Oh my god, they paid so much money. I'm like, this girl to me, like, she played some sports, but I think it was more because her friends were playing. Like, I didn't know her to be like a real basketball kind of person, but she had such vitriol and such anger about LeBron James going to Miami. The thing is from Cleveland. He wanted to go to Miami. Cleveland sucks. Especially today, Cleveland's a lot better.
Yeah.
But like back then, Cleveland was ass.
It was even just way worse. They just had good bud. That was about it.
I would go to South Beach too. like, why do you hate him so much? And but yeah, like I think it's some ungrateful nigger vibes to him because he didn't stay with the first team that paid him. They get because that talent, that Cleveland. I think of Ohio as a very. I'm gonna say it's a more there's hoods in Cleveland and Ohio, no question. I'm not calling nobody soft, but when I think of Ohio, I think of a very white area.
Yeah,
I think pretty white.
I mean,
it's not like Pittsburgh. When I think Pittsburgh, I think black, but like I think generally you're kind of white for in Ohio.
I mean, like, if we have who came out of Ohio that's like what you said it was white. Oh,
when I think Ohio, I think white.
Oh, so I remember watching one of the Dave Chappelle things, like his comedy specials, and he was recently speaking about that. He was like, "Oh, I live in a very white area in like Ohio," and he made that joke about like, "Oh shit, like I have to get a gun and a shotgun because he made me feel like a bitch on my own like acres." So with the store and shit, the buckshot. But that's the thing. It's like, every time I go on any kind of outlet that talks about LeBron, the only people I ever see shitting on LeBron are just like older white people and maybe like some people around our age. After that, it's like people.
The only person who bucks that trend, and he doesn't hate LeBron for leaving at all. He doesn't give a fuck about Cleveland.
Okay.
My brother's an anti-LeBron fan because my brother was such a big Kobe guy.
That's a weird one.
So because like.
That's weird.
He's more of that. I like the killer mentality kind of guy.
Okay.
He's one of those guys. So like that's what he always felt like LeBron. For as physically dominant as he was he never took full advantage of it. He didn't impose his will as much as like a Kobe would if he were built like that, or Jordan would, like because they would take the last shot, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So he's been one of those guys, but he's the only person who I can say I know doesn't hate LeBron for shady reasons.
Yeah.
He doesn't like his game. That's all that is.
Okay. I mean,
but like generally speaking, when I think of anti-LeBron guys, it's a bunch of white people who are mad for hard to qualify reasons.
Yeah. It's just like, what are you comparing? Because everything.
He's always complaining. Every star athlete complains.
Like, are we kidding? Because like people talk about like nobody ever references when like Kobe tried to threaten to leave the Lakers like several times.
Kobe was so mad. Kobe told Bill Simmons and Bill Simmons revealed this on his podcast talking about Kobe, that Kobe was so mad at the Lakers and he was so unsure of his future that he was like, I'm going to go to the Knicks. Kobe was so mad he was going to come to New York because he was so... Yeah, that's also the reality that we live in. If like the Lakers didn't do right by Kobe, he was going to go come to New York. That was a story that he told Bill Simmons personally.
That's the realest thing, bro.
With that information. Like, yeah, Kobe would have came to New York.
That's a savage thing to say.
He's like, I'm going to go to New York and I'm going to... Because they'll love me there and they'll appreciate me. And yada yada yada, and he was going to build it up, and he would have brought New York back.
Mm.
Imagine Kobe and Melo. I think Melo would shut up and like actually stand in the corner for Kobe. Kobe, he'd be number 2 for Kobe.
I mean, okay, so from what we've seen from Melo, from his Trailblazers debut and everything,
that's him being older and a little bit more accepting of a role. I think that was a problem with Kobe and young Porzingis. I mean, Carmelo and young Porzingis. God bless the dead. Like, Melo didn't want to be anybody's number 2 or put on another young guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think as he got older and felt like, they don't want me to be the star anymore. I have to be a role player now. Now you're seeing him be more accepting of a role with the Trailblazers. They're a good team, and he can play that fiddle for them. And plus, it's hard to be the second guy in a place that you put on. You know what I mean?
I mean, I have a thing about that because, like, not saying
that's
that
kind of hard.
Not to compare these players, but you have to in a dynamic, right? And take that with a grain of salt. Carmelo played with like AI, and AI was a person who was super influential. He was that nigga for a long period.
Number 2 in Denver.
Who AI?
That was the problem in Denver. AI wasn't ready to be a number 2.
No, but I'm saying
he
like
ended up being that way, but he didn't want to do that.
Yeah, but I'm saying like, all right, if you have Kobe and you have Carmelo on the same team, Carmelo he has youth on his side. We know him as a great scorer. Kobe's always gonna be Kobe, but I'm saying like AI could be that scorer. He could drop these buckets still, and he was still doing shit. I feel like a person like Carmelo growing up with a person like AI in the league would make him do the same thing because like they came out around the same time, no? Like him and Kobe, like AI and Kobe. I think it was like both 96, right?
Yeah. There was both that second wave after Jordan was getting older. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so like I feel like Carmelo being a teenage kid, basically watching this dude play, like
he'd have that respect for him.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if it didn't work out in Denver that way, I don't know if it would have worked in New York with Carmelo doing that right then and there, because Carmelo already had his ego at that point.
I think that at that point in their careers, AI was on the back nine of his career. He was on the. That's the point where where Melo was physically better than AI at that point in their careers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that the point when Kobe would have came over, hypothetical world, we're debating it now, it's kind of funny. Kobe would have came over and he would have at that point been better than Melo was at that point in their careers. So then logically Melo would have to be second man, but it's still his team. That's why you got to give D Wade a lot of credit. Granted, he was getting older and he was hurt, but he let LeBron have Miami those championship years. He's like, nah, this has to be your team, like blah blah blah. And he took that back seat to him and let him do his thing. So you gotta give D Wade his credit. That's a hard thing to do. Where this is, they call Dade County Wade County. Like that's his city.
Wow.
You know, so for him to like actually be like, all right, you're here now, you have to lead and like actually go and embrace another guy like that. It's tough. It's a real ego check.
I mean, like it depends because it's like I look at players like we were talking about Dwight Howard like not that long ago, and his contributions to LA, and it's funny because like the first go around he had beef with Kobe, and then it didn't end up very well, so he went to Houston, and then like his shit with James Harden happened, and it's like I think him being the dominant.
Another one he had the league humbled him.
That's the thing though. It's kind of fucked up because like I feel like it all just started with Kobe. I feel like it all just started with Kobe because like the media went behind it. It's also like these big egos too because it's like you went from Kobe to
Kobe
to
and
Harden.
Injuries that got Dwight.
Yeah.
Kobe called himself on national TV, got him, but of course he had his injuries that like took a step away from him because Dwight was the most athletic motherfucker ever at one point in the league, right? Like he was one of those dudes, but then he got injured, took a step back. You know what I mean? Goes to Houston, he's not quite hitting the same, and James Harden's there like, yo, I'm the guy now. Get this nigga out of here. He's kind of fucking it up for me. Take that step back, and then he's like trading around the league. He's bouncing around, and it'll humble you.
True. I mean that's why like I feel for players that are like really good, and it's funny. I guess this could be a segue into this because it was just a funny thing, even though it's an old thing now. Really great players always get bounced around and shit, and like one person I was thinking about in particular was Nate Robinson, and like as great of an athlete as he was and doing all that shit,
he went for like 3 teams, I think.
He went to like he was on the Knicks. He
started off with the Knicks. He was our guy, and then he went to the Celtics. Then he ended up on the Bulls.
I think he was on Golden State at a point.
Probably like nearing the end, right?
I think so. Let me just see. Or we could both do it. Where else did he go? I think he was. Yeah, you already said the Bulls. Was he on the Pistons?
I feel like everyone goes there. Like point guards go to New York and Detroit to die.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
Yeah.
Okay. So the correct order is New York.
Okay.
Then Boston for a year. Only a year. It felt like it was more iconic than that 1 year.
No, that year he got killed because D'Antoni was not fucking with him after he did that shot into like the other person's basket and shit. After that, he just kept benching him and not using him, and then they ended up trading him. I remember that season. That shit was kind of trash. But
yeah, so he went to Boston that in 2010 2011, then OKC for a year, then Golden State for a year, then Chicago, then Denver for 2 years, then LA, then the Clippers,
wow,
then the Pelicans, and then he was overseas for a few years. Overseas, G League, overseas, you know. So yeah, that was Nate Robinson's NBA career.
Yeah. Kind of sad.
Yeah, like
so much potential, bro. So much.
Nah, I think he had the best career he could have had.
You think so? Even after that knockout?
I'm not even thinking about the basketball part of his life. I think he had the best career he could have had in the NBA because you got to remember, it was for Nate. It was kind of a spectacle. He was 5'9". You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like guarding, he couldn't really physically guard guys too much bigger than him. Like AI was getting steals crazy. Nate wasn't really doing that much. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's also shorter, so that makes a big difference.
Exactly, less length. You know?
Yeah.
So it's not like he was like really guarding anybody. He wasn't really a true point guard. He was just a small guy who could score a lot, and a good career as a bench guy. You know, getting buckets. He's famous for his slam dunk champion. He had I think if you run his career 10 times out of 10, this is probably one of the best variations of his career.
Okay. That's fair enough.
If you're being fair with like who he was as a player, you know, athletic bench dude, not really gonna ever really be a good defender, but he always gave effort. Like remember telling me, one of my favorite Nate Robinson plays is he like came from behind and blocked Shaq. That was one of the coolest plays. I remember Nate for it. Like, not one of his dunks. It was him blocking Shaq in the game as a Nick. That was cool.
I mean, that was toward the end of Good Shaq. Actually, that was already past Good Shaq.
Still, like, Shaq was always a figure to me. Like, he was always going to be the big fucking motherfucker, like, you know?
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for Shaq as a player.
I get that.
Like, so, yeah. You know, it's not like he was ever, like, a true point guard on like that. Like, he was... Yeah, he had one of the best variations of his career you could possibly imagine. He was a big star for a city that didn't have anything else going for him, so he was the most exciting thing on the floor. Yeah, I think he can look back on his NBA career and be very proud of what he accomplished.
Okay.
His boxing career, though, if you want to get into the Jake Paul shit,
that was
a bad call.
It was just bad. The whole thing was just bad, bro. Like, I remember watching it. Like, my friend bought it. And, like, it was...
I didn't watch that shit.
Bro, it was... I mean, it was... I wasn't going to pay for it. But, like, this nigga bought it. And it was just weird because I was simultaneously watching 2 TVs, one with UFC and one with boxing. So it was just so much fucking fighting in that room. It was just so aggressive. And then watching Nate come out was just like kind of just sad because this nigga looked like he never boxed in his life.
Yeah, he could probably fight.
Yeah.
He could probably fight good, but he's not a boxer.
Mm-hmm.
The fucked thing about Jake Paul is he's a YouTube guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's low key a big fucking kid. He's younger than Nate. He's solid and he's been boxing and taking it seriously for a couple of years now. You know, he's very passionate about boxing.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's training for real. So he went in the ring with a guy who's actually, I would say, a legitimate amateur boxer, and got knocked the fuck out. Like, it's tough.
That's like a huge thing because it's like when I was watching it, it was just weird because I felt like it was weird that they like to highlight all of Nate Robinson's accomplishments in the NBA. Like, it made it like he was a 3-time slam dunk contest winner. Like, it made a difference in terms of him being a boxer. It's like you guys.
He made himself a next legend. It doesn't matter as a boxer. He's 5'9", 180. That's what matters.
Bro, it was just painful.
Jake Paul is 6'1", probably 2 something. It's a big difference.
That is a difference, and the thing is that what made it worse was that Snoop was just commentating like very family friendly shit for fight night, and it was just it was just, the whole thing was just like terrible. It was hilarious to watch that knockout. It was hilarious, you know what I mean? But you know, he should have.
It gave you another moment, didn't he?
He should have just
gave you another moment.
I mean, now
he shouldn't have did it. I mean, I'm sure he got paid pretty well, but
at least train. That's the thing. It's like, at least go into it with some training, because like, he is an athlete, and it's not even like he's that old or anything. He's obviously in a good shape. He could do his own thing, but like,
for sure.
Yeah, but like, go and get some actual formal training for that shit, especially when it comes down to boxing. Like, you just running up on some nigga just to like do a bunch of shit is just,
it's not gonna work. It's just not gonna fucking work.